Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. We are continuing on our tutorial adventure today. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing. But I did some interesting stuff last night with it, which I think is, well, interesting, like I just said. I added some steering behaviors to the skull to make the movement a little bit more natural, but also to give him some kind of like wander area, which I think is pretty neat. So we'll be looking at that a little bit more. I want to change the text effects and some other things related to the visuals. And we still have some like sequence breaking issues as well. So if I look at my to-do list here, so we could still backtrack and trigger the boss fight by accruing notoriety. So we want to stop that from happening. I broke the resurrection with the new code that I'm using to position the skull. And there's another bug here, but anyway, we're getting down to the last little bit of work that needs to be done on this. So we're very close to finished, and then we'll evaluate whether we want to add some more tutorial steps or whatever else. But before I get into that, of course, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wishlisting. If you haven't wishlisted it yet and you're interested in the game, please do so. That would be much appreciated. You can also support the game on Patreon. If you join at the top tier here, I will send you an Alchemortis Steam key when the game launches, and I will put your name in the in-game Alchemortis credits. So check that out if you're interested. It helps me out a lot. Also, we are going to be doing a playtest at the end of this month. So if you want a week of early access to the playtest, you need to be a Patreon subscriber, an active Patreon subscriber. But if you don't want to support on Patreon, you can just wait a week and then the playtest will be open for the public as well. So, but if you want to get immediate access to it when it's available, you can subscribe to Patreon for that. And I also have my Udemy courses available for sale. Again, every purchase of these courses help me out a lot. And yeah, you'll learn how to build complete games in the Godot engine as well. All right, anyway, I think we've done enough of the ads. Oh, the Discord is also linked below. Check that out if you want to join. But yeah, let's say hello to everybody. Hello, Jay Hart, welcome. Hello, Nanto, good to see you both again. Hello, Saint of Rage, welcome, welcome, good to see you. Wooius, just the right distraction I needed today. Awesome. Welcome back to the stream, everybody. All right, let me take a look. Let me take a gander. Let me show you a gander about how everything's going on. So I mentioned that I added steering behaviors to the skull, which I think looks pretty good. And I also added a little bit of an in animation. So the skull now kind of has a little bit of wander behavior here. So he kind of stays around the point. I may make that wandering a little bit more subtle or maybe a little bit more tight, but for now I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, so he kind of just like floats around. If I move this way, he's going to go back to that target over there. Now he's very slow when you move things away. So yeah, gonna need to fix that, but there he goes. Goodbye. But I recenter the camera and now he's got to go all the way back. So we'll have to fix that, but the movement looks a lot more natural. And I think it's just a little bit more interesting, a little bit more eye-catching. We'll tweak some of those numbers. But basically, yeah, it's just using a steering behavior. So I've got this steer method here. And this is relatively simple. So it's a wander behavior where basically you've got the direction that you want to go. And then you can sample a noise texture, or not a noise texture, but just a noise algorithm to get the new direction that you want to go in radians. And then what you could do is you could take the difference between your current wander direction and the direction that you want to steer in, and then you can multiply that by some kind of force, and then the force can just be a number that you could toggle. So you've got the direction that you're going and you've got the direction that you want to go, and then the force is kind of like, it's a vector that points from the current wander direction to the steering direction. And then you can multiply that by some kind of force so that it has less or more strength. And then you add that multiplied force out to the wander direction to actually change the wander direction. And then I actually don't know if this is the right way to do it, but I normalize the wander direction after this. So we want to keep the wander direction always a unit vector. Just makes the math easier. So normalize the wander vector, but then I add another correcting force. So the nice thing about steering behaviors is you could look this up. This is a very well-established concept in game development. But the thing about steering behaviors is that you can add any number of acting forces on the entity, and those forces will all add up to push the entity in whatever direction. And so in this case, what I have is I've got a correcting force. And what this essentially does is this is a force that pulls the skull back toward its anchor position. So if you remember, yesterday we were setting a bunch of anchor positions for the skull, and that's basically the position that it needs to point to, or that's the position that it needs to be at on the screen in order to draw the player's eye to that location. So this correcting force is basically a way of counteracting the wander behavior. Because, let's see, direction to... I actually think I probably didn't do this right because this is just a constant force. But anyway, so this is a constant force that is pushing from the current wander direction to the target position. So that means that as I start to wander off, that force is going to correct and pull the skull back toward the center, back toward the anchor position. And then what else is going on here? This math is actually wrong too. Oops. So we'll fix that. And then I just have an acceleration here. So once we've got the wander direction being changed by these two forces, then all we do is we just take our desired velocity. So I just hard-coded 50. So 50 pixels per second is the speed. And then we get the steering. So we take the difference between the desired velocity and the current velocity. And that's our acceleration. Or sorry. What is this doing now? Did I do all this wrong? Clamp vector 2.1 minus acceleration. Oh, I see. So I'm taking the vector that points from the velocity to the desired velocity, but I'm clamping that to my max acceleration. So either, negative acceleration or positive acceleration. And then we multiply that acceleration by delta, add that to the velocity, and then we multiply the velocity by delta and add that to global position. So this step is necessary to get the smooth movement. So basically, as we're changing the wander direction, as we're changing the direction we want the entity to go in, we're also changing the velocity over time in accordance with what our current velocity is versus what our desired velocity is. And then we kind of accelerate the entity along that vector. And so what that does is that gives us very nice smooth movement. So as you can see as he starts to wander away, that correcting force will pull him back this way. And then as he turns around, or as he hits the limits of his boundaries, that acceleration acting over time actually slows down the velocity and then reverses it. So you get this nice, very floaty kind of feeling, but there's a little bit of momentum in it. And that's all just accomplished with very simple vector operations, really. Now, this one is not correct. Wander local target is equal to mathutil.rng.rand direction, root position. We're going to do rand direction times mathutil.rng.randf range 0 wander radius. Okay. Friendly neighborhood reminder to like the stream. Yes, indeed. Like the stream, everybody. Please like it. Please love it. Okay, so I think that's working, and just make sure I didn't break anything here. Now what I probably want to do is allow him to accelerate more the farther away he is from the target. And maybe slow him down a little bit when he's close to the target. But we're not going to focus on that just yet, because what I want to do is focus on the text. So I don't think it's a good idea for the text to follow him necessarily. I mean, maybe it's okay. But we're going to try to separate the text from him, because it's a little bit hard to read when it's moving around like that. So what I may do, let me go to my skull here. I may have to shoot. I might do something a little bit tricksy here. Put this, put just a node here to break the transform. And then this rich text label. Oh, that's not going to work, is it? Oh, maybe it will. So there's my rich text label. And what I'm going to do is, so this was offset by 16. So what I'll do is I will, when we set this anchor position here, we will do rich text label dot. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this even simpler for me. I'm kind of just like using these nodes as little helpers here. Rich text root. So instead of trying to do a bunch of math to position the rich text label correctly, what I will do is I'll just take this rich text root node private node 2D rich text root. I'll just take this, and when we set the anchor here, we'll do rich text root dot position is equal to get anchor position. So what that should do is that should kind of like separate the text from the skull so that it's not following the skull, and it will just appear right at the root. Oh, but it needs to be updated every time. Okay. So that's all right. We could just take this then, and we'll just put this in the process, I suppose. Is animating. We'll just slap that in there. Why not? So it should stick on the spot where it needs to be. Yeah, so you see how it's like the text is sticking next to there, but the guy is going to float around now. So, I don't know, maybe that's all right, but let's take a look at what happens when we go inside. Good morning, Ninja Link. How are you doing? So I also fixed the rendering issues here. Maybe we'll change some of his movement here, but I fixed some of the rendering issues, so this this tutorial text no longer renders on top of the card tooltips here. That was actually relatively simple. Click the combat disc to begin the encounter. So I definitely want to speed this guy up if he's far away from the target and slow him down if he's closer. So we'll see if I can use my weak elementary math skills to make that work. And then maybe we'll tighten up his wander radius and whatnot and slow him down a little bit when he's closer, but Okay, click the combat disc to begin the encounter. Excellent. You have defeated some of the Inquisition's forces. Cool. He's kind of cute. Just want to suggest a new card, Vampire, a vampire cat, but it turns out that Vampire is actually already a trademark. Oh, interesting. That's kind of funny, actually. I guess should have expected that. Hello, Grandra. I kind of like him. I do too. I think he's cute. Skull tutorial guy plushie win. Good morning, Asymmetrics. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. So yeah, I think this is turning out pretty good. I got a couple of things to figure out, but there's a couple of things that I want to do. There's so many things to do. To alchemize cards. There's a couple more things I want to do. So I kind of was working on something else last night. I was working on popping, like doing a pop-in animation, which you could see there, and then also doing a pop-out when I visit things. So here, I just need to get this sequence working correctly. So if I pop this here, then I click the combat disc. So it needs to pop out after I click the combat disc. So I think that should be easy. If I go to my combat started, state in combat, leave state, begin combat. I'm going to do skull.pop out. Okay, set text. I might need to consolidate some of this stuff, but let's see what that does. Good morning, Emerson. Welcome back. Good to see you as always. A vampire cat card is still possible, just with a different name. Well, I already have a cat card, but I don't have a vampire card, so maybe that could work. Place cards on the board. Click the combat disc to begin the encounter, and then he pops out of existence. So yeah, there's a bunch of things that I want to do visually here, and I also have to obviously get rid of that text. Okay, you have defeated some of the Inquisition's forces. So you have defeated some of the Inquisition's forces. We're going to want to do skull.pop in. Okay. Claim your treasure and press forward. And then it goes into alchemy. To alchemize cards, add 2 or more cards to the pot. Click the pot to commence alchemization. Set force overlay visible false. Leave state alchemy. So state alchemy on alchemization finished. State alchemy output. Choose 1 card to add an inventory. Okay, now continue your offensive against the Inquisition. Okay, so now when we go to state post alchemy, on travel, I probably want to do on travel entered. Let's see. On combat entered. State combat 2, leave state post alchemy. I guess I'll just do this here. Skull.pop out. Okay. Okay, skull.pop in. Cells in your combat board can be unlocked using alchemical residue. So I could skip this state. I could skip this state, so that would be a problem. Leave state unlock cells. Okay, I'll fix that. Let's see. State unlock cells. Change state nodes. So we'll just do another skull.pop in here. However, I'll just do this. If it's already visible, then I'm just going to return. So prevent pop-in from, if it's called multiple times, from doing the animation multiple times. So state notoriety, leave state nodes. Where is leave state nodes called? Let's see. On travel entered state post nodes. Right, okay, so here I can do skull.pop out. Okay, state notoriety, skull.pop in, leave state notoriety, skull.pop out. Okay, state boss, skull.pop in, leave state boss. So I think we're changing out of the boss state, yeah, when the combat starts. So we could do skull.pop out here. And then skull.pop in, state resurrection. And we change this state to previous state, so on player resurrected. So leave state resurrection. I might as well do this safely here. So anywhere where I'm calling set text here, I'm probably just going to want to do a pop in. I can't rely on the previous popped in state of the skull because I could die at any point. So we'll just do skull.pop in anytime we have this here. So again, this should just do nothing if it's already visible. So it's safe to just call it whenever. All right, let's see if that generally works. I can see a vampire card healing the player for every bleed damage dealt to the enemy board. Yeah, that could work for sure. Hello, Light Tiramisu. Welcome, welcome. Do you have time to think more about backtracking? I haven't put much more thought into it, no. We'll have to solve that at some point, but I got sidetracked doing like visual stuff last night. So click the combat disc to begin the encounter. It should pop out. Now the text is not disappearing because I broke the relationship that it has with this node here. So we'll have to handle that separately, but I want to do some extra stuff with the text as well. So we grab these. Okay. Alchemy is used. Alchemy is used. So we're waiting. Yeah, we have a timer in here. So you have defeated some of the Inquisition's forces. State post victory. Am I using this anywhere? State begin alchemy. Okay. Well, in here we'll just do skull.pop out. That should help a little bit. So we open up the alchemy. There he goes. He wanders on over. Wanders on over. So we'll make that faster, but I want to focus on the text now. So tweaks to skull movement and visibility. So the text here, we can animate it. So I think the rich text label already has stuff to help with animation. Displayed text, visible characters. And we have the visible ratio here. So now there's a question of how do I get the total characters? Get character line, get line count, get total character count. Here we go. So we've got to get total character count here. So what I should be able to do is when let's see. I guess we'll just animate. We'll animate the text as well. Private tween, text tween. So we'll go down here and we'll do text tween dot kill if valid. Text tween equals create tween. Text tween dot tween property. Rich text label. String rich text label dot property name dot visible characters, and we are going to do rich text label dot get total character count, and we're going to do after a duration. Well, we're going to want to set a fixed duration. Let's just do const int characters per second is equal to 20. We'll just try that at first. So characters per second, get total character count divided by characters per second. Okay. And then we're going to want to do rich text label dot visible is equal to true. Okay. Get total character count, visible characters. So we want to do rich text label dot visible characters is equal to 0. Okay, and then pop out. We'll do if not visible, return. Okay, and then we'll do text tween dot kill if valid. Text tween equals creatine. Tween property rich text label visible characters. And then we will do text tween dot tween action. Rich text label dot visible equals false. Okay, we'll do something like that. But now I have to make sure that the pop-in is happening after I call set text. So that's a little bit annoying, but should be all right. We'll just make sure to do pop-in at the end before or after I set text. Okay, let's see what that does. Is the font you're using for general text in Alchemortis public? Yeah, it is. I can't remember if you have to pay for it though. Okay, so it's looking better. Yeah, I think the font, let's see. Resources, font, it's Chevy Ray Soft Square. So I can't remember if I paid for that or not, but I know I have the license to use it. I just don't remember if it was like a, you know, Creative Commons font or if it was something that I paid to use. But yeah, if you find a pixel font that you like and it says, hey, you can use this in unlimited commercial projects as long as you pay $5 for it or whatever, I think that's well worth it because it's like, you can use that to build up your library too. Like a lot of these assets that are available online, free or paid, the license is basically like unlimited use. So you pay for it once, you store it on your hard drive, and you could just use it for any future game project. So I've been doing that. I've been building up a library of fonts and sound effects and music and all that stuff. And so now when I'm going into game jams or when I'm going into like prototyping or whatever, I have a bunch of stuff that I can just throw into the game and use. Good afternoon, the Doll Light. It's been snowing constantly for 2 weeks now. Everything is melting. Weather, roads, and sidewalks are miserable. Oof. We just got a big snowstorm here. It's actually still snowing right now. So, yeah. We're also going through these cycles of like heavy snow, melt, heavy snow, melt. Son of a bee, yes. It's also very cold. What is the temperature today? Let's see. Ooh, doggy. It is... It is 18 degrees right now. In Fahrenheit, of course. Which is... I don't know, can I see the Celsius conversion here? It's below 0 Celsius. Thank God we got game development, yeah. Thankfully we have houses with heating and game development and internet lines that don't go out when it's a snowstorm. So yeah, we're cozy. We're cozy. But if I lose any one of those things, I'll basically die. If I lose the heat, if I lose the internet, I'll basically just die. Okay, characters per second, let's do 40. Let's bump that up. What about inside? Okay, that looks a little bit nicer. So I'm going to want to make this guy move a little bit quicker based on his distance. Oh, that didn't animate either. Click the combat encounter. Right. So the problem here, I want this to also animate. Let me do this. Private void, animate text in. So maybe I won't do that in the pop-in, actually. Maybe what I'll do is I'll do that on the set text. No, maybe I will do it here. Animate. That's a little bit finicky. This is not the way I would have built it if I knew what I was going to have, but that's okay. And then in here, when we call set text, we'll do if the rich text label is already visible, then we will do animate text in, and that needs to happen after we set the text. Okay. That should work. You guys got a snowstorm as your northern neighbor. I'm surprised we did get it as well. Alrighty. So we'll go here. That text goes away. Place cards on your board to prepare for combat. Cards will execute their abilities when their turn comes up. Click the combat disc to begin the encounter. We go here. Okay, so I think the main thing now is just to make it so that that skull guy moves a little bit quicker. I also want to do like a fire burst animation for when he pops in. We're going to make this real polished. We're going to make it look real polished. Okay, so we claim this. Oh, and that's wrong. So after I claim those resources, something's wrong here. So where is that happening? Let's see. Oh, I'm in the wrong spot. State post victory. State comment. Claim your treasure. Reset, restore text orientation. Oh, this restore text orientation is going to be a little bit finicky as well. Restore text orientation. I might merge this all into one thing. So do set text bool flip orientation equals false. If flip orientation, flip text orientation. Okay, we're going to make these private. And then, yeah, we will require this. So we'll get rid of that. Get rid of flip text orientation. We'll pass in true there. And then here, we'll pass in true there. We'll get rid of that. Flip text orientation there, true here. Get rid of this, get rid of that, true here. And remove that. Okay, where else am I? Here we go. True there. Get rid of that. Okay, I think that's better. Let's take a gander. Now that I think of it, you guys are to the southeast of me, so I guess that makes sense. Wow, I can't seem to use the right words today, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I live in Ohio. Ohio gets a lot of snow, generally speaking, so... Yep, the winters. Winters in the Midwestern United States, generally speaking, are very snowy. I'm in Michigan. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that is weird. I guess I would expect Michigan to get more snow, but I guess maybe it does. Maybe the weather patterns are just different. I don't know. I'm no meteorologist. Go to your local news. I don't know. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Yeah, it's starting to shape up with some animations in there, with some proper sequencing. Now that's not working. Oh, he's going to alchemy. Okay. So... is it just... wait a minute. I gotta pay more attention to what's happening there. We've gotten surprisingly little this year. Do you use road salt over there? Yes. Yeah. It doubles as car salt. You know, your black cars turn white in the winter. Not from the snow, but from the salt. Poor cars, yeah. Very true, yeah. I'd try as a general rule not to leave the house when it's snowy conditions because it's not fun. So I don't have to deal with the salt too much, but I wasn't really paying attention again. So if I take the reward from this combat encounter, claim your treasure and press forward. So that doesn't animate out correctly. So maybe I should do like a pop out there. Let's see. Yeah, there's a weird sequencing thing here. Enable alchemy button, enable combat button. I wonder if I just did skull.pop out here, what that would look like. Western Michigan gets dumped on usually. Hello, Kurt. Welcome to the stream. Is it just me or is the skull moving really slowly to his next location? Yeah, that's something I'm going to fix. It's going to be fixed very soon here. His maximum speed is capped at 50 pixels per second, but I want to make that speed dynamic based on how far he is from his target. Why is that pop out not working? Why is that just disappearing? I don't understand that. Leave state combat victory. I guess I could do that. I don't know why the text is just disappearing. Let's see. Ohio Sigma. I picked up the platforming course and finally made it to section 4. Lots of content, lots of value, loving it. Thank you. Oh yeah, you're welcome. Platformer course is the old one. It's the very first one I did, and it's still in Godot 3, but I'm glad that you're still finding value out of it. Honestly, if I did it, if I'd worked on another course, I'd probably just go back and update that one for Godot 4. All right, let's see why this is happening. So this is just disappearing. Oh, there it goes. It animated out that time. Yeah, so there's a bunch of timing issues that I want to resolve as well. I just want to make it paced a little bit better. But for the most part, this appears to be working pretty well. Yeah, so I might wait to show this until the player closes the drawer themselves, but those are all like sequencing or timing issues, I think. So I'll work on that in a little bit, but I want to fix this. I want to fix this guy. Oh, you know what I should do as well? Visible equals false. I should turn off the particles. I don't know if they're still simulating under the hood, but let's do flame particles. We'll turn those off as well. Node, private node 2D, flame particles. That has to be a GPU particles 2D, flame particles emitting equals true. And then here pop out flame particles that emitting equals false. Then we'll go up here. Just turn the flame particles emitting to false here as well. Okay. Feel it should be snappier. I kind of like that it's old. It forced me to learn using the docs in my 4.5 projects. There you go. Back buffer copy and wave function collapse course when. Goodness gracious. The free PD website is closed now, by the way. You suggested for the music in the survivors course. I just sourced some alternative, but not sure if you wanted to add a note or something. Oh, interesting. Site closed. Remember when we used to be told that the internet is forever? That everything on the internet would stay there for eternity? And then you try to reference a website that you bookmarked 10 years ago and it's no longer there. Anyway, so yeah, maybe I'll make a note about that. Shoot. So much to do. Open the alchemy drawer to begin crafting. To alchemize cards, add 2 or more cards to the pot. Choose 1 card to add to the inventory. Now continue your offensive against the Inquisition with your newly alchemized card. Okay. Go this way. The tutorial is almost done. It's very, very close. Just some final things to iron out. Get the visuals looking really good. And we'll be golden, pony boy. There's a sequence break there, I suppose, which is I could just entirely skip unlocking the cell. So I gotta figure that out as well. Unlock cell step can be ignored. Okay. Upgrade a card. Boom, bang. Kerblam. I love how she's just floating around pointing. Okay. Okay. All right. So that's working pretty good. Let's see. So yeah, let's make the skull a little bit snappier, I guess. I think that would be a good next step here. Tweak animations. Very close. Look at all these commits. Oh my gosh. These are all these blue commits here. These are all the commits for just the tutorial branch. So the orange here is the master branch, and then this blue is the tutorial branch. So that's what, several dozen commits on just this one feature. Goodness gracious. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick 3-minute break here, and then when I come back, we will make the skull a little bit snappier. The challenge with making the skull snappier is that I still want him to move slowly when he's generally in the area where he should be, and I want him to move more quickly when he's farther away. So we'll probably just set up like a min and max speed and then get like a min and max distance. And then we could just like scale the max speed based on how close he is or something. I don't know. We're going to have to figure that out. But give me just 3 minutes. I'll be right back and we will continue on. All right, I'm back. Instead of defining a min and max speed, hold on a second. Instead of defining a min and max speed, couldn't you just define a set travel time, like 500 milliseconds or 1 second to reach the next destination, regardless of distance, combined with ease out, and that should do it. Well, I'm not using a tween anymore for his movement. I'm using steering behaviors. And the reason I'm using steering behaviors is because I want to give him a little bit of a wander radius around the point. And so the steering behaviors are all driven by forces, and they're not driven by a set time, and there's no tweens at play either. So now, I guess there's nothing stopping me from switching to a tween, but the problem is I still want to have that wander behavior where he like floats around and like floats around the general area and points to the thing. So this is all the movement code here. And I think it would be hard to adapt this so that, you know, he snaps to a location. Snaps to a location over a certain amount of time and then adopts the wander behavior. I guess I could do that, but I think it would be kind of easier to take this desired velocity and scale this based on how far away he is. So, I mean, I can just try it. So let's see. What do I want to do? This is where my elementary math skills are going to fail. Okay, let's do private const float min speed is equal to 25. Private const float max speed is equal to 250. Okay, and then we're going to do private const float. I'm going to call this min speed dead zone or something like that, and we'll do 32. We'll do private const float max speed. I don't know if dead zone's the right terminology here, but we'll just roll with it. I'm going to do this very basically. I'm sure there's a clever way of doing this, but var desired speed is equal to min speed. Hello, Defected. No worries, I got you. Those are the only math skills I got. All right. All right, so we have the desired speed. We also need to do the distance to the root position. Global position, so var distance to root is equal to global position dot distance to root position. If distance to root is greater than max speed dead zone, then we're going to say actually, I wonder if I could just clamp this. Let's do adjusted distance, maybe something like that. It's equal to mathf.clamp. We're going to clamp the distance to, and we're going to do min speed dead zone, max speed dead zone. Okay, so var speed percent is equal to adjusted distance minus min speed dead zone divided by max speed dead zone minus min speed dead zone. Thank you. See, I don't even need my elementary math skills. It's doing it for me. So then we can say the var desired speed mathf.lerp min speed max speed speed percent, and then we can put the desired speed in here. All right, so what that is essentially doing is I'm defining, so if he's within 32 pixels of the root position, then he's just going to be fixed to the min speed here. But as he goes outward towards 200 pixels away from the distance, the max speed is going to scale up to 250. And if he goes beyond 200, it'll just be fixed to 250. But as he gets closer and closer to the target, that max speed is going to get lower and lower and lower. So that should hopefully help to slow him down as he approaches the target. But we will see. We will see. So I think the problem too is that I need to scale the acceleration in the same way. I need to scale the acceleration in the same way. I mean, what happens if I just, if I crank the acceleration up too much, then he's going to wander very erratically and not smoothly at all. So I probably need to scale that acceleration as well. Let's try scaling the acceleration. So we'll do min acceleration, private const float max acceleration. Okay. And then we'll go down here and we'll get the desired acceleration. So we've got the adjusted, we've got this distance. Maybe I'll just do this. Rename this to like distance percent. And then we'll do var desired acceleration is equal to mathf.lerp min acceleration distance percent. And then we'll do desired acceleration. Okay, let's see if that works. So we're adjusting the acceleration and the velocity based on how far away it is from its target. And that should help. Ooh. Might have to change some of those steering forces as well, because he's like, yeah. Let's see. Maybe I'll adjust the correcting force as well. Wander correction force. Let's do min wander correction force, max wander correction force, and we'll apply that same thing here. So wherever we're using this wander correction force here, we will, let's see. We'll move all this up here. Okay, desired speed, distance percent, adjusted distance. So we can do var desired wander correction force, distance percent, desired wander correction force. Oops, I spelled that wrong, I guess. Correction force. So now if he's farther away, it should more strongly pull him toward the target, and also it should speed him up. So if I do this, yeah, he just wanders straight there. Here he comes. Woo! Okay. He does overshoot it a little bit, but that can be adjusted as well. That's pretty clean. His orbit may be a bit wide. Nah, maybe not. Yeah, so the orbit... So I have a general orbit of 32 pixels. But the thing is, like, when he's got lower acceleration, it may take him longer to correct. So he may actually go outside of the 32 pixel orbit for a little bit of time as the acceleration is moving him gradually in the other direction. But I think his orbit has generally been tightened by these new changes that I've made as well. He does overshoot that a little bit. And I think that can probably be changed. How would I change that? So the way to change that ideally is the acceleration needs to be stronger for longer. But we can also have him overshoot. I mean, it's not necessarily a huge problem. Because he does eventually correct himself and get back to the spot that he needs to be in. He does eventually get back to the spot that he needs to be in, so it might not be a huge issue, but we'll go this way and then here. So I think, yeah, there needs to be, I guess, the acceleration. So the problem is he's got this, you know, velocity that's going this direction. It's a very strong velocity, right? It's a velocity with a lot of magnitude. And so, but the problem is that the acceleration is slowing down as he approaches the target. And so as he gets closer and closer, the velocity is changing less and less. And that causes him to overshoot. So what almost needs to happen is the acceleration needs to remain stronger for longer so that it changes not as rapidly as he's approaching it. But then once he gets into like a certain radius, that's when it starts to drop a lot. So I think what I could do is I would probably just need to do this. Min acceleration, max acceleration. So I'm using these speed dead zones here. What I can do, let me think. I'm gonna just use the same speed dead zone here for the acceleration, but if I just change the max speed dead zone, or it's not, I don't know if it's a dead zone, but it's all right. So he should accelerate. No, he still overshoots. What we may be able to do is use an exponential curve here. No, that wouldn't help. Actually guides you back if you overpan. Yeah. Hello, Viadav. Welcome, welcome. Good day to you as well. I've been paying no attention to all these last few streams. Is that a tutorial skeleton? It is, yes. Hit the brakes sooner, yeah. How are you handling the particle trails based on velocity and acceleration? It's very, very simple. I mean, the particles just render in the global space. And so as the particles move, the previous particles that were emitted maintain their global position or their global trajectory. So as a thing moves, it just naturally leaves a trail behind it. I didn't do anything special for that. Don't give up, skeleton. The Dark Souls reference. Okay. I mean, this is not necessarily a huge issue to fix. Probably should tighten that up a little bit, but... let me just play with some dials here. Let's see what happens. Like, I think if I turn this min acceleration up, that's going to fix it, but then it's going to not use the min acceleration that I want it to use. So yeah, he doesn't overshoot as much with a higher acceleration, which is expected, although it kind of is the same amount. Maybe the wander correction force. No, that's not going to be the problem. I could probably turn this down though. Let's see. Sorry for the unrelated question. Hello, Adorian. When using composition, how do you decide which node lands in the scene and which one will later be a child of that scene? Like a collision shape 2D is to an area 2D. Do you want to... I don't know exactly what you're asking. Do you have a specific like scenario in mind? Like, are you trying to implement a specific feature and you don't know what the relationship between the nodes should be? It annoys me so much when when particle effects don't live in the global space looks tacky. Yeah. The only case where you'd want to maybe use particles that are not in the global space is for like if the particles are around a UI element. So if you imagine if you have a button that's like on fire or whatever, it would look a little bit weird, especially if you were animating the UI for those fire particles to like not follow the button. So sometimes I use the local space when I have particles in a UI, but the UI is being animated, like the drawers are going in and out, because the drawer kind of has like its own world, right? It's like the drawer is animating, but the screen position is not like, how do I describe it? Well, maybe that just makes sense enough. Like the drawer has its own little confined world and the drawer is being animated as a unit. And that means that the things inside of the drawer shouldn't be affected by the drawer's overall movement. It's not breaking, just UI UX. Okay. So we go here, he pops in here, he swings on over here. Drag this over here. Now he goes there. He's kind of cute. So I think I want to move the flame particles as well. We'll adjust that. I'm just talking about the game world. Particles follow their emitters one-to-one in a physical space. Takes all the juice from the effect. Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, there he goes off the screen. So I suppose that would be a problem. How would I fix this? Don't want him flying off the screen. I don't want him to fly off the screen. What happens if I just do max acceleration the whole time? Will he still fly off the screen? I don't think so. Is this even making a difference? Let me print the desired acceleration and see what happens. No, that's correct. Oops. So if I move this, the acceleration goes up and it slows down. Yeah, so it's not necessarily the acceleration that's the problem, it's that the velocity is the problem. The velocity doesn't slow down enough as he approaches. So I wonder, maybe I can, let's see. You change this min speed dead zone. I don't think that's going to help either. Max acceleration dead zone, min speed dead zone. No, we'll do 32 here. Min speed dead zone there. Acceleration distance. Acceleration distance percent. Then desired acceleration acceleration distance percent. I don't think that's going to help much. Do some kind of hard stop large adjustment when he reaches the dead zone. Yeah, we could do that. One example would be making a customizable scene. Oh, that looks better. So I just created a different dead zone for the or for the speed and the acceleration. So I think what I'll do is maybe I'll up the speed dead zone a little bit. Sorry, I'll get back to the question in a second. Speed dead zone, 96, and we'll increase the speed dead zone here to like 256, I guess. And then the acceleration dead zone, we're keeping that a little bit tighter. So that prevents that from becoming a huge issue. So he doesn't maintain his high speed for as long. He's still overshooting it though. But not by much. Not by much. We could actually lower this dead zone, I think. So it stays at the max acceleration for longer, and then it ramps down quickly. Let's see if this works. Turn the speed dead zone back down. We'll reduce this again back to 200. So a lot of this is just playing with numbers here, obviously. Anyway, one example would be making a customizable scene. Say I want a custom sprite. I could use an export that would not show in the editor. Next, I'd think of adding it as a child to my scene instance. But if I add it as a child to the instance, my initially created component is unaware and would only be able to get it, and I would only be able to get it through getChildren. Yeah, so I think what you're kind of referring to is like a component that has like a requirement, right? So you want a custom sprite, you could use an export, but that would not show in the editor. Think of adding it as a child to my scene instance. But if I add it as a child to the scene instance, my initially created component is unaware of it and will only be able to get it through getChildren. Right, so I don't know why your component would need to reference the sprite specifically, but let's just say that it does for whatever reason. I think it's totally fine to have the component have an export variable where you can say, here is the sprite that this is an owner of, or that this is the parent of. And you can handle that in a way where it's like optionally configurable. So I did this with Gunforge. So I had a hit flash component, and that component was responsible for making the sprite white with a shader whenever damage was taken by an entity. Now the hit flash component, what it did is it had an export variable that said, okay, what is the target sprite that I want to apply the shader material to, so that when it takes damage, I can flash it white. And that was an export variable. So when I added the hit flash component to my scene, I could either have the hit flash component target one of its siblings, like a sprite that's next to it in the scene tree, or I could have it target a direct child of that hit flash component. So I think that's totally fine. And that kind of follows the pattern that Godot has as well. You know, I don't think it's necessarily a problem if you have a component to expect it to only work if you've also fulfilled another requirement. So like the example you gave is like area 2D doesn't work unless you supply a collision shape 2D to it as a child, right? And that is Godot essentially like fetching all of the collision shape 2D children as part of that area 2D node. And I think that's a fine pattern to adopt as well. I think the most important part is you want to make it resilient, right? So you either want to somehow explicitly state through like maybe a configuration warning that the node isn't going to work unless you add a sprite as a child, or you can make an optional like export variable where you can supply a reference to the sprite. And as long as you're writing the code to handle the null case where there is no sprite supplied, I think that's totally fine. So hopefully that helps. It's not the gas, it's the brakes. Right. But what I'm doing is I'm changing the regions in which it's applying the gas. And yeah. Okay, so this is looking a little bit better. Doesn't overshoot as much. But he overshoots that there. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is working that well. What I may have to do is I may have to introduce another force that is like an opposite of the velocity force. So I'm actually going to undo this because I liked the numbers that I had before. I think that's probably good. Oh, so what I may need to do is introduce another force that can like act as a brake. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to brake effectively by just manipulating the accelerations and stuff. I mean, I don't know, but it just seems like that's what I'd do if I didn't run off a cliff or go into a zone I didn't want to get into. The Toro skull is wavering, yes. Do you have a velocity lerp? This is usually what creates that inertia effect for me. I'm not lerping the velocity. All of this is being driven with steering behaviors and forces, which are changing over time. So there's no like direct lerping of the velocity. The velocity is just an accumulation of basically the final direction that is created from the forces and also the acceleration. So we figure out, you know, what the acceleration is. And then we, add that acceleration times delta to the velocity, and then we add the global position velocity times delta. So I think I probably just need to add another force in here. That was tremendous help. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Yeah. Good morning, Chris. Do you ever worry about if Steam's AI policy applies to like the built-in VS Code autocomplete which uses AI? Yeah, I'm gonna ask Steam support about that and try to get some clarity about what they're looking for, because the documentation suggests that if you use AI coding tools that you need to mark your game as like having AI content. But when you actually go to the portal where your game is and you go to the survey that you need to fill out to mark or flag your game as AI, it does not mention code in that survey there. And so there's a question about like what is the source of truth? Is the documentation the source of truth, or is the actual survey where you click the big button that says this has or has no AI? Which one is the source of truth, right? So yeah, I think it's, and you know, there's also questions. It's not just about like the AI that's built into the VS Code. Like what happens if I go to chatgpt.com and I ask a question and it gives me a code snippet, and maybe let's just say I copy and paste that code snippet. Like, is that AI content? If the code snippet is the exact same snippet that I could find on Stack Overflow, does that make a difference? What happens if I just use the AI to help me brainstorm an architectural approach, but I do something different? Is that still AI assisted coding? Like, so I think there's a lot of questions. So I'm going to ask Steam about that, but hello, A the Ant. Looking at this, it needs higher restitution. I don't know what restitution is. Is that a physics term? The restoration of something to its original state. Oh, physics, yeah. Well, that's the thing. It doesn't really have an original state, but game was made with Stack Overflow would be pretty funny. Yeah, this AI thing is messy. My hunch is that what Steam is trying to do is they're trying to get you to flag games that are using like things that you would consider as traditional content, right? Like AI music, AI sound effects, AI images, textures, 3D models, that kind of thing. You know, the kinds of things that could be reasonably disputed from a copyright perspective, but no one is like saying because you copied something off Stack Overflow, you're violating someone's copyright. Like the idea of like what constitutes copyright when it comes to code is a lot more, I think it's kind of like a lot more permissive, generally speaking. So I think, I honestly think the whole AI thing is just Steam trying to cover themselves in the event of a lawsuit. So if like, you know, you find out that 1,000 games on Steam were made using art that was copyrighted and that the AI models did not have the licensing and permission to use, then Steam can just say, well, we told the developers that they agreed that they had the right to everything and they disclosed that they used this AI and like we're washing our hands clean. Like that's not our problem, you know? That's what I think the intent is behind there. So things like Copilot autocomplete, like Copilot auto-completing a line that I would have written myself anyway, it's like, to me, that can't possibly be what Valve is after, right? That can't possibly be, but that's why I'm going to ask them. That's why I was worried about it. It's kind of like you can't help it. Like how many degrees of separation do you need to have from AI-generated things before you could say you did not use AI? Right, right. Code-wise, it should sit in a place where you acknowledge things like libraries used, etc. Yeah, and people don't even do that, right? Like just pull in libraries and use it in your code and like no credits anywhere, and no one ever has a problem with that. You may not even know if the thing you are using used AI to generate it. Right, yeah. Yeah, what happens if you pull in a library that was AI generated? It's like, yeah, it's a whole mess. It's a whole mess. If you Google anything related, find help, the first answer is AI. If you use that, is it flagged? Yeah, true. I miss Stack Overflow good times. Even if you type it out manually. IntelliSense is here for ages. Yeah, that's true too. Okay, let's see if I can do this kind of force. All right, so maybe we'll do, so how do I want to do this? Min deceleration. Dead zone is like 32. A const float max deceleration. Dead zone is, let's do something like 100. And then we'll do private const float deceleration max force. Let's do 25. Okay, we'll do var. What the heck? Why did you send me all the way up there when I hit tab? Var adjusted deceleration distance. So I'm getting this distance all the time. So distance to root. Distance to root, distance to root, distance to root. Okay. Deceleration distance percent. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do wander direction. Then we're gonna do var deceleration direction is equal to negative velocity. Maybe actually we'll do negative velocity dot normalized times mathf dot lerp zero deceleration max force, deceleration distance percent, times delta, wander direction plus equals I don't know if this is going to work. Probably not. No, that doesn't work. Or maybe it's just too strong. That's the other problem too, I guess. Steering plus equals negative velocity times mathf dot lerp. Deceleration max. We're going to change this to a multiplier. Max multiplier, deceleration distance percent. Deceleration max multiplier. Let's just try that. So basically what I'm doing is I'm counteracting the current velocity. Oh. So I'm getting the steering direction that we want to do, but then I'm reversing it a little bit with this multiplier based on that deceleration dead zone. So let's see what happens. Big A, I'm a son of a B. What's acceleration dead zone? There's basically a range, a distance between which the acceleration will be ramped up. So I think this multiplier needs to be higher. 2. So basically there's like a range. So if he's between this distance and that distance, that is the range that is defined. I guess I should have just used the word range, but I used dead zone, so that is still not working. Let's change the multiplier up a little bit. Let's just do 10. I don't even know if this is working properly, but we'll see. Why is it not working? Did I not multiply this correctly? 0 deceleration distance percent times delta. No, I don't want to do times delta in here. That's what's screwing me up. Does the skelly have a mass? It does not. It's not a physics object. Hello, Zachary. Welcome, welcome. What if you drop the mass? There is no mass. It is massless. Like all physics textbooks. It is massless. Well, I guess that's not true. What is the one thing they usually do? Frictionless? Assume that this surface is entirely frictionless. So what I'll do is I'll tighten this zone here. So do 64 and then we'll up this multiplier. Yeah, it's just using steering behaviors, which are physics-esque, but it's not actually using physics, like there's no mass consideration. Oh, that's not working properly either. Oh, I think what I need to do, this max deceleration dead zone. I'm just going to do this. deceleration distance percent. We want to only kick in the deceleration if it's within that range. So if distance to root is less than or equal to max deceleration dead zone. I'm just making stuff up at this point. But we don't want to decelerate it if it's outside of when it should start decelerating. So I actually don't know if this is going to work, but let's see. Oh yeah, that seems to work a little bit better. So there's a couple of options we could do. We could increase the range during which it's decelerating, or we could increase the multiplier. I'm going to try increasing the multiplier for now, and then we will see how that works. So there's basically a 32 pixel range where it's going to decelerate. So it's going to go here. So that is definitely working. Maybe we'll up this though to 96 so it has more time to decelerate. So when it's in the range of 32 to 96, it will be applying that deceleration multiplier. Oh yeah, that works beautifully. Still overshooting it a little bit. Deceleration max multiplier. Don't complicate things. It's too late. Spherical cows and all that. Skelly beast moving. My job is to make things more difficult. I'm here for the scope creep. I wonder if let's just do this. Well, the other problem too is that I probably don't want to apply this deceleration multiplier unless if distance to root and velocity dot length is greater than max min speed. Let's see if that makes any difference. That's kind of working. Oh, wait. Is this right? I think I want to actually change the steering here. The other problem here is that this deceleration is being clamped to the desired acceleration. So maybe if I put this after. I have no idea. I'm just messing with things. We'll see. Distance to root is not squared. It's not. Probs there's not enough braking. Yeah, I mean, there's not really an explicit braking. It's just a bunch of forces. But I'm trying to add a counteracting force that can serve as a brake. Oh. It's pushing him way far away. So maybe this deceleration max multiplier needs to go down. We'll just make it 1. It's kind of working. Nope. Goodbye. Oh, goodbye. Oh, maybe the problem... This acceleration actually is wrong. I think I just need a different... I need a different force here. So this is a... Let's see. Direction to... So force direction... Let's just do this. Global position dot direction to root position. No. Root position dot direction to global position. So we'll just create a vector that points from the root position to the current position, and that's the direction of the slowdown. And we'll make this equal times acceleration dot length. I'm just making stuff up at this point. Oh, I guess I don't need to do that. So basically we're going to take the vector pointing from the root position to the global position. We're going to add that to the acceleration to counteract the acceleration, but we're going to multiply that by that multiplier. So let's see if that works. Okay. Oh, and then he's getting pushed away. So he only needs to be pushed away if the directions are aligned. So I think we can use the dot product for this. It's going to be a little bit tricksy. What in the heck is going on? Just stop. How did this... Oh, here. Okay. So if distance to root, and we'll get rid of this. Let's do velocity dot deceleration is greater than 0. Then we'll do acceleration plus equals deceleration. This reminds me of a PID controller. Do you have a timer set up to say in 0 to 6 seconds, except for the skeleton, again with the car metaphors? No, there's no timers. Nope, that's not working either. Sorry I got called into the meeting. You're trying to just get the guy attracted to the point. No, I have that part down. The part is I want to make him not overshoot it when he's going fast at the point. Essentially creating a horsepower variable. Is where you can plot a velocity time and distance time graph. That's easier to debug, I feel. No, I'm not going to do that. That would be harder. I think the problem is I'm just not doing the math right for how the braking should work. I think they need to be in opposite directions. I think I did my dot product wrong. Let's see what happens now. I think if the dot product is greater than 0, then they're within the same 90-degree radius. Okay, so maybe I do need this. Or maybe the desired speed is what I want. I don't know, let's see. Time for game dev once again. Why not use a curve? How would a curve help here? Try desired speed. We can change this deceleration. Well, let's just see what that does. Distance to acceleration curve. This sounds so control theory. So I'm trying to figure out a car going X miles an hour that weighs Y can brake at Z feet, but not having mass, it changes it. So I'm trying to figure out a way around that. I don't think it's right to necessarily model this as like a physics problem. It's more of a math problem. It's just a bunch of vectors being added together. There's no mass, there's no friction. So, I mean, I could, instead of trying to use a counteracting force, what I could do is just use a direct lerp to slow it down, which somebody suggested, but that kind of throws a wrench in all my wander code, but maybe that would be all right. So we'll try that approach, I guess. The speed should be determined by how far and constantly they update, right? Yeah, there's a velocity vector. Couldn't you just clamp the velocity within the min dead zone? Yeah, I think that's the approach that I'm going to take next, is just lerp the velocity. So if it's within that dead zone range, it just slows down. No, that's going to not work that well either. Well, this isn't a car, something we're steering, accelerating, and braking. Do you have a clamped max velocity? Yes, I do. The max velocity is whatever else. Max speed is 250. I honestly don't think that this line is doing much here, or these lines here. Interesting. Where's my acceleration line here? Acceleration distance, desired acceleration. Trying to think. I could just leave the max acceleration constant until it gets into that dead zone. I don't know, I'm just going to try this. If acceleration distance percent is greater than 0, we'll do desired acceleration is equal to min acceleration desired. So then if acceleration distance percent is equal to 0, we need to do a mathf at prox, but let's see. Desired acceleration equals max acceleration. Okay, greater than 0. We'll get rid of this here. So I'm going to try to see what that works. Probably not going to keep that, but that's just going to keep the acceleration at max until the dead zone is exited. That appears not to be working at all. Very cool. I don't think dead zones help because your skull can enter the dead zones at various velocities. I think your title for today was a bit off. Tutorial time, more like skelly time, yeah. Let's see. No, that is working. Interesting. Might have to go look up a tutorial on how to do proper braking with steering behaviors. Because that is not working. Okay, we'll get rid of this. We'll just leave it for now. I'll figure out how to handle the swinging by the target later. But I'll get rid of this deceleration stuff because that didn't really do anything. Goodbye, deceleration stuff. Okay, back to where we started a half hour ago or whatever it was. Look up PID, it helps. I have steering behavior resources that I'm going to look at. I don't need to overcomplicate it. There's all kinds of resources on steering behaviors already, and that's exactly what I'm using. So I'm sure there's a braking somewhere that I can look up. Boom, click the combat disc to begin the encounter. You've defeated some of the Inquisition's forces. Okay. Alchemy is used to create cards. Skelly gonna skelly. Time for a new bug or a feature, yeah. So I think the next big thing is to just get the timings of all this stuff correct. So there's a lot of there's not a lot of breathing room when you're going through the tutorial here. Meaning that it just goes from one step to another. Like that part should wait until the animation for the, is done, the alchemy pot. This is a little bit weird because it shows you a node that you need to visit, but behind the alchemy there. That should probably disappear on travel entered as well. So I got a couple of things to figure out still. So it looks really good when it's like on the target. It's just the problem of it overshoots when it moves faster. So we'll figure that out. All right, anyway. Work on skull motion. We're at 2 hours, so that's going to be it for the stream today. I'm going to go get me some lunch. Maybe I'll do a bonus stream today. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, if not, I'll be back at it tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Thank you all for chatting. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Always helpful to chat with you all. I'll figure out that deceleration stuff this afternoon probably. But yeah, anyway, wishlist Alchemortis if you haven't already. I'd appreciate that. Also, the other ways you can support me are linked in the description below. You can subscribe to the channel, join the Discord, all that good stuff. And yeah, hope you all have a great day and watch the Discord, see if there's a bonus stream later. Would love to have you there. And otherwise, yeah, I'll just see you in the next one. Okay, bye everyone.